Today's technique is called point of destruction. It's against a knife type. So before we start the technique, there's a few factors I want to talk about that'll help tip the scales in the success aspect of defending yourself against a knife. First thing we're going to talk about is distance. Distance is a key factor when it comes to this. It's very important that you have a nice distance where your opponent is forced to reach for you. By reaching for you, it gives you a little bit more time to react to. For example, if my opponent was here and they were this close to me and I just came out and cut quickly, it would be very hard for them to do something. They wouldn't have a lot of time to react. But at this distance, now I'm forced to reach and lunge. And by then I'm committing. So what we call a non-committal attack and a committal attack. We want them at a distance where they have to commit. Second thing we're going to talk about is how you hold your hands. In a traditional Kempo guard, it leaves me vulnerable to get cut on the inside of the wrists. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my hands a little closer to my body and turn my hands backwards. So if he does cut across, I get cut on the outside of the arm where the veins and the arteries and the tendons that I really need are not getting cut. I'm getting cut here in the muscle of the back of the arm. Hopefully I'm not getting cut at all if I do the technique right. Second, I want to talk about footwork. Key factor is footwork. Long, low stances are no good against a knife because it restricts your mobility and it prevents you from moving your feet quickly. So what I want to do is keep my feet underneath me, kind of like a boxer, and I want to be able to move any direction quickly. Any stance, I want to be able to have that ability. So, distance, how I hold my hands, and my footwork. Also, I'm going to be teaching a concept called drawing. By drawing it's like I'm giving my opponent a target to attack. For example, if we were about to fight and he didn't have a knife, and I had my face forward, he'd probably punch me in the face because that's open. If my hands were high, he'd want to hit me in the stomach. So what I'm going to do when it comes to a knife is I'm going to keep my hands protecting my throat, one of the key factors, and I'm going to open up my midsection so it helps draw that attack, at least tip the scales in my favor to where at least I know where that knife may go. So that's called drawing. So all those factors are key even prior to the technique. Now, during the technique, we're going to learn a concept called hollowing. On hollowing, it is pulling the body back, okay? And when you do the hollowing effect, it's almost like, picture this, an invisible force field around the knife. And as it's coming in, that force field hits my stomach and forces me back. And that's the concept I want to do, is I want to do that hollowing effect. So when he first comes in, I'm going to hollow. By hollowing, it's going to get the target back. But that's not enough because if he continues forward, I'm getting stabbed. So next concept is hinging, turning and rotation of the body. So I'm going to be hollowing and hinging. And that helps get the target out of, trajectory of the knife. But I don't want to rely just on the hollow and the hinge. I also want to rely on my hands as well. So I'm going to do a deflection. And I'm going to use a left hand here. Very important that I hollow, hinge, and deflect. So now the target's out, but I've also changed the trajectory of the weapon because of my hand. Okay? So that's the first concept of the technique. Point of destruction. I want to make sure I get the hollow, the hinge, and the deflection. I'm using my left hand to deflect, and my right hand glances down. Now I don't want to hit at a perpendicular angle here, I want to hit at a glancing angle because I want the trajectory to continue forward but not stab me. So when I do this technique, 1, 2, I lift up, I guide up with my left hand. So this is 1, 2, and up. And I hammer. When I hammer, I'm using the bone against the back of the hand. So I hit the metacarpal bones in the back of the hand. Okay? This will cause the knife to come right out of the hand. Boom! Immediately, I hammer right into the bridge of the nose, bringing them back. Now the right foot is going to come behind, and the right arm is going to come down, and this is a forearm strike into the throat as I reap the leg, take it down. I deliver a back fist into the groin, followed by a palm heel into the solar plexus, and a hammer right into the side of the neck with a ki. Hi-ya! We're going to do it from this angle. Remember, it's going to be a left check, a right deflection, and a left check up. So it's going to be 1, 2 up, hammer, deflecting, bridge of the nose, come behind him. This is a forearm strike as you do a leg reap in the back of the leg. This is the groin into the, I'm just going to hit the side of the leg. When you practice with each other, don't hit each other in the groin. Palm to the solar plex, and hammer strike to the side of the neck with the key up. Ah, yes! Crossover. If I want to kick, I could add that to the end of the technique as well. And so, normal speed.